Walter Hagen was one of the most important figures in golf history. He was not just a great player. He was a man who changed the way the sport was seen around the world. Before Hagen, golf was a game with a strict social divide. Amateurs, usually from wealthy backgrounds, were respected. Professionals were often treated as little more than servants. Hagen helped to change that. He brought style, confidence, and a new level of respect to professional golfers. Walter Charles Hagen was born on December 21, 1892, in Rochester, New York. He grew up in a working-class family. Money was tight, and there was nothing in his early life to suggest he would one day be a world-famous athlete. But Hagen had a natural love for sports. As a boy, he played baseball and other games with friends. It was not until his teenage years that golf came into his life. Hagen's first connection to the game came through a job. He started working as a caddy at the country club of Rochester. This was a common way for boys in his neighborhood to earn money. As a caddy, he carried clubs for wealthy members and watched them play. It was here that he began to study the game. He learned how the best players moved, how they planned their shots, and how they reacted under pressure. Before long, he began practicing whenever he could. His swing came naturally. He had an eye for distance and a smooth, powerful motion that stood out even to experienced players. It was not long before Hagen began to compete. He entered local amateur events and started winning. His early success in these tournaments gave him confidence. He realized he could hold his own against the best amateur players in the region. In 1914, he shocked the golf world by winning the U.S. Open as a 21-year-old amateur. This was his first major moment on the national stage. The victory was not just impressive because of his age. At the time, amateurs dominated the sport's prestige, but Hagen's win hinted at something more. It suggested that professional golf could have stars who were as skilled and exciting as any amateur. After his breakthrough, Hagen faced a choice. He could stay an amateur and keep the social respect that came with it. Or he could turn professional, a path that came with less status but more opportunity to make a living through the game. Hagen chose the professional route. This was a bold decision in the early 1900s. Professional golfers often worked as club pros, giving lessons or making clubs rather than playing for big prize money. But Hagen believed he could change that. He was determined to make his living as a touring professional and to do it in his own style. In the years after turning pro, Hagen began to collect tournament wins. He had a natural flair for competition. He was confident on the course and quick to recover from mistakes. His early professional victories proved that his U.S. Open win was no fluke. They also marked the beginning of a career that would transform golf forever. Walter Hagen went on to become one of the most successful golfers in history. Over the course of his career, he won 11 major championships. This included 2 U.S. Open titles, 4 British Opens, and 5 PGA championships. At the time, this was a record for most majors won. His victories came over more than a decade, proving that his talent and focus lasted well beyond a single peak year. Hagen was known for his ability to rise to the occasion in the biggest tournaments. He had a calm presence under pressure and a belief that he could win against anyone. But Hagen was remembered for more than his scores. He brought personality to the sport. He dressed in tailored suits, colorful ties, and polished shoes. On the course, his outfits were just as sharp: bright +4s, stylish jackets, and carefully chosen hats. Off the course, he traveled in style. Hagen often stayed in the best hotels and arrived at events in luxury cars. This was unusual for a professional golfer at the time, but Hagen believed image mattered. He wanted to show that a golfer could be both a skilled athlete and a gentleman. His style was more than just personal taste. It was part of a larger goal: to raise the status of professional golfers. In Hagen's early years, pros were often kept out of clubhouse lounges and treated as hired help. Hagen refused to accept that treatment. He believed professionals deserved the same respect as amateurs. He argued for better pay, better facilities, and fairer conditions for pro players. His success and charisma made it hard for tournament organizers to ignore him. Over time, he helped improve prize money and opened doors for future generations of professionals. Hagen was also a key figure in the Ryder Cup, the team competition between the United States and Great Britain. He played in the first Ryder Cup in 1927 and also served as the U.S. team captain multiple times. His leadership style was relaxed but confident. He believed in encouraging his teammates, making them feel at ease before matches. Under his captaincy, the U.S. team enjoyed strong results, and Hagen's presence added prestige to the event. He faced many rivals during his career. Some were friendly competitors, others were fierce opponents. One of his most famous rivalries was with Bobby Jones, the legendary amateur. Matches between Hagen and Jones were highly anticipated. The contrast was clear. Jones was disciplined and reserved. Hagen was flamboyant and relaxed. Yet they respected each other's skill, and their contests drew large crowds. Hagen also had memorable duels with top British players during his trips overseas, particularly in the Open Championship. These matches helped cement his reputation as an international star. Through his victories, his style, and his fight for respect, Walter Hagen changed what it meant to be a professional golfer. He proved that a pro could compete with the very best, live well, and be admired for both skill and personality. By the late 1920s, Hagen was not only one of the best players in the world, he was one of the most recognizable figures in all of sports. By the early 1930s, Walter Hagen's time at the top of competitive golf was coming to an end. Age and the demands of touring began to take their toll. He still played in tournaments, but the wins became less frequent. Hagen had nothing left to prove. He had already secured his place among the game's greats. In his later years, he shifted his focus to exhibition matches, public appearances, and golf course design. These exhibitions were more than just casual games. They drew large crowds and helped spread golf's popularity to new regions. Hagen's influence on younger players was clear. Many future champions spoke about the impact he had on their careers. He showed them that being a professional golfer could be a full-time, respected career. Players like Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, and later Arnold Palmer benefited from the path Hagen had helped create. His fight for fair treatment and better pay meant that the next generation started their careers in a much stronger position than he did. Beyond his victories, Hagen left a mark through his personality. Hagen also broke down the image of golf as a sport only for the wealthy elite. Before him, professionals were often viewed as outsiders to the game's upper circles. Through his skill, his style, and his confidence, he proved that pros could not only match but sometimes outshine the most respected amateurs. He blurred the lines between the two groups, paving the way for a sport built on talent, not just social status. His legacy is still felt today. Modern professional golf, with its global tours, large crowds, and high prize money, owes much to the groundwork Hagen laid. He helped transform golf from a pastime of the privileged into a professional sport that could attract worldwide attention. His career was a bridge between the old traditions of the game and a new era of opportunity for players everywhere. Walter Hagen passed away in 1969 at the age of 76. By then, his place in golf history was secure. He had been a champion, a showman, and a pioneer. He had changed how players lived, how they were treated, and how the game was seen by the public. His name still appears on lists of the greatest golfers of all time, not only for his 11 major titles, but for the way he carried himself. In the end, Walter Hagen was more than a golfer. He was a man who proved that skill, style, and determination could change an entire sport, and he left the game far better than he found it.